People say China's going to invade Taiwan, but the more I've looked into it, the more I realize it's not that simple. Even if China's military is almost ready to go, there are two major problems holding them back, and they're kind of a big deal. So let me walk you through what those are, because once you see the full picture, you'll get why an invasion isn't guaranteed at all. Okay, first off, China's military is huge. We're talking over 2 million active personnel, tons of aircraft, naval ships, and tanks. When it comes to Taiwan, it's got about 170,000 troops. So yeah, on paper, it looks one-sided. But here's the catch. Taiwan's an island, and amphibious invasions, crossing water to invade, are one of the hardest things to pull off in modern warfare. It's not like you can just roll tanks across a bridge. You've got to ship soldiers across a strait, land them under fire, and then try to hold ground. Taiwan's military is built to delay and hold out. And if they manage to do that for a few months, that's when China runs into serious trouble with stuff like food and fuel.
So, let's talk about food. China officially says they're about 95% self-sufficient, but a lot of analysts disagree. They import a ton of stuff: soybeans, wheat, pork, and not just a little. Some experts think real self-sufficiency is more like 70%, maybe even lower. And the Chinese government knows it. They've been turning parks into farmland, turning green belt area into farmland. There are even reports that they've been encouraging people to eat less meat, since raising livestock takes imported feed. So yeah, if a war is quick, maybe they're fine. But if it drags on, food security could become a massive problem. And public unrest during wartime, that's risky for any regime. Now, the even bigger issue is oil. Planes, tanks, warships, they all burn through fuel like crazy. China only produces about 29% of the oil it uses. The rest? It comes mostly by sea. And most of that flows through the Malacca Strait, a narrow little stretch that's easy to block in a war. And who controls that area? The U.S. Navy and its allies. If that route gets cut off, China's stuck. They've got maybe 90 days of oil reserves, at best. That's why you sometimes hear, if Taiwan can hold out for 3 months, everything changes. And it's true. Logistics collapse fast if there's no fuel.
Now, China's not clueless. They've been working on backup plans, like building pipelines from places like Myanmar, Pakistan, Russia. But here's the thing. Those routes are kind of a mess. Myanmar has rebel groups that could sabotage pipelines. Pakistan's route isn't even finished, and the terrain is mountainous and unpredictable. Sometimes roads there are closed off for months. And yeah, they're working with Russia, but history shows there's not a whole lot of deep trust there. It's more like convenient cooperation. So yeah, China's trying, but right now, none of those backups are really enough for a full-blown war effort. Then there's the bigger picture, global politics. The U.S. is trying to wind down the war in Ukraine and improve ties with Russia, not out of love, but as a way to isolate China further. If China ends up cut off from both the West and Russia, that's a terrible position to be in while starting a long, expensive war. So even if they're thinking about Taiwan, Beijing's probably also thinking, can we really afford this right now? So will China invade Taiwan? It's not impossible. But when you really look at the situation, geography, food supply, fuel, global alliances, it's way more complicated than people make it sound. Wars aren't just about tanks and missiles. They're about whether a country can sustain the fight. And for China, that part still raises a lot of questions. If this breakdown was helpful, hit like and subscribe. See you next time.